Welcome back to AlaJoy Associates, where we focus on faith, family, and freedom through financial literacy, home ownership, and wealth building. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with someone I've known since high school, Jarad Brown, mortgage lender with New American Funding. Has built an outstanding reputation in the mortgage industry and is recognized as the number one lender in customer satisfaction in the Savannah area. In this conversation, we're discussing home ownership, lending, credit, financial responsibility, and practical steps families can take to move closer to their financial goals. Whether you're a first time home buyer, preparing to purchase in the future, or simply looking to strengthen your financial foundation, this interview is filled with valuable insights you won't want to miss. Let's jump into this conversation. How does someone get financially ready when they already feel behind? Yes.
Right? You can't just, wake up one day and be like, all right, I'm unhealthy and I expect that to happen immediately. I become perfectly healthy, right?
Right.
It's a lifestyle. You have to
Yeah.
change everything to go from unhealthy to healthy. And it's a way of looking at the world as well. Most of my conversations with people who don't qualify due to credit history or whatever the case may be,
Mhm.
my conversations with them are on, okay, well, we're going to change a lifestyle, right? I could be the lender that squeezes you into a bad loan with a high interest rate on a house that you can't afford, and I can make my commission and I can move on.
Right.
Or together we can look at your current situation, figure out what we need to do to correct your current situation, get you into a good loan that you can afford, which then will further increase your credit score, start making money cheaper for you so that anytime you go and borrow money, it is more affordable.
Right.
And that's how you build to healthiness. And
Absolutely.
people don't get a 450 credit score overnight, right?
Right.
That's multiple compounded bad decisions get you there. And so you don't get out of it overnight.
Right.
Most people don't. And most people get discouraged, as anybody would, get discouraged by that. And then I'm never going to own a home. It's the system's against me.
Right.
Everything's against me. Which in many ways, I'm not discounting that, but there's things that you can do to where it starts to feel like it's not. And whenever you start seeing people achieve like the first little goal, right? And I always set goals in a way that are achievable for the
Mhm.
person I'm talking to. But when they achieve the first goal, it's like, here we go. Here we go. Now
Yeah.
you're heading in the right direction, right? And people always want a timeline because if you can set a proper timeline for somebody, set that expectation, then it gives them something to work towards, but they don't get impatient. I preach
Right.
patience with people. I have a borrower called me last night, 8 o'clock at night. She's like, Jared, I did everything you told me to do on the credit. Just like you said, my credit karma just jumped up 40 points. I don't trust the score it's showing me, but I trust that my
Right.
credit moved like you said it would. I was like, okay, well, when I get to the office in the morning, I'm going to repull your scores. She's
Mhm.
44 years old, went to the beach. I mean, she's class of 2000, right?
Yes.
And so that's my connection with this girl. And she's worked at the same daycare for 17 years. Just
Mhm.
got promoted. She's a manager now, making 65,000 a year after 17 years there on salary. And she's like, I get paid a salary now. She has $4,000 saved up for a down payment, and now her credit jumped from a 611 to a 660.
Mhm.
I'm like, so right now, you are pre-approved to buy a home. You can go buy a home today, right?
Mhm.
You can go buy a home today. I could get you into a down payment assistance loan, and it's going to cap your pre-approval amount at about 215,000. I was like, I've lived here my whole life. I know that there's no houses in good neighborhoods that are safe that are good investments at 215. So your other option is we continue to now stack bread.
Mhm.
We no payments go late, no new credit open, and we stack bread until we get to 10,000. That's going to be 3.5% down on a $290,000 house. $290,000 house puts you in Windsor Forest. $290,000 house puts you in a good neighborhood. That's safe. That's going to be a good investment. That's going to go up in value. I can
Right.
get you the DPA. We could do that. They're going to cap your debt to income ratio, and you're only going to be able to afford on paper about a $215,000 house. Or we can be patient. You're
Yes.
44. I promise you. I was like, if you can save, $500 a month, and she's about to pay off a car that has a $600 a month payment. I was like,
Mhm.
once you pay that off next month, you're going to have extra $600 a month cash flow. Pretend like you're still paying it off and put it into your savings, right?
Yes.
Your cash flows don't change. Now we're putting 600 in savings. I was like, in 1 year, that's going to be another $7,300 plus the 2,000 you have, and we're right there with down payment. I was like, you're 44. By the time you're 45, you could be a homeowner and have a nice home and a home that's affordable, right? And so, like, that's what I get out of this. And we can get into your questions, but like, for you to know, April, because you knew me
Right.
back in high school, that's what I get out of this. That's what I love about what I do. And the fact that I get to do it here in Savannah and I get to run into people that, I didn't know her, and I'm not going to mention her name, but I didn't
Right.
know her.
Right.
But we have that in common, right? She went to
Mhm.
Duran, she went to Beach, I went to Bartlett, I went to Windsor, but it was all class of 2000,
Yeah.
right? And I didn't bring it up because I don't mention it to people. I'm like, we might have graduated together, Rainbow out
Right.
of Groves anyway. We might really be classmates at some point.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So, I mean, I appreciate all that because, of course, that is exactly, the areas in which we're working. So,
Yeah.
I have a question since you did mention that, her being 44, us
Mhm.
being 44. The average homeowner or first time home buyer I see is looking like around 40 in comparison to what it used to. How do you think that has changed the market? How had, what kind of caused that? Like, what do you see surrounding that?
Yeah, no, it's definitely gone up. It's gone up almost a decade just since I've been doing mortgages for the first time home buyer age, getting longer and longer out. And there's multiple factors that feed into that. There's a fear because you got to think the biggest recession was 2008, right? That's when the markets crashed. That's when everything went to hell. So the
Right.
generation behind you and I, or even some of the millennials, we're just coming of age then. We're
Yeah.
just coming out of high school, just coming out of college, just entering the workforce, and we got smacked in the mouth, right? So we don't trust. We
Right.
don't trust in the value of a home in the way our parents did, right? Because up until that point, home values only went up. They never went down, right?
Right.
So I think of us late millennials, right?
Right.
And the generation that followed behind us were less trusting people. And so we don't trust in the systems the way we did. We don't trust in, investments in the way we did. Where if you look at what we have in 401k savings, and that it's a lot less than the generations in front of us, right? We kind of live for today. We're
Yeah.
I'm going to travel now, but I'll save whenever. I'm going to travel now, right? And then I'll
Right.
worry about working when I'm older, right? I
Yep.
don't care
Yep.
about retirement, right?
Right.
That's our age. And so a little bit of it is cultural and who we
Mhm.
are and like what we've experienced. But then there's a large financial portion of it as well. The vast majority of us are living paycheck to paycheck,
Yeah.
whatever income level you're at. I see people living paycheck to paycheck that are making $50,000 a year. I see people living paycheck to paycheck that are making $200,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
Um, Obviously at different levels of comfort, but
Right.
still living paycheck to paycheck. And so
Yeah.
there are these barriers to entry mixed with our cultural differences from previous generations that is pushing that age up.
Yeah.
I do see a breaking point to where that will kick back,
Yeah.
right? Um, and maybe not. It just depends on affordable housing. When I bought my first house, I bought it for $140,000. That was my first house. It was
Yeah.
over on Colleen Drive on the other side of Windsor, on the other
Okay.
side of Largo. There's not a $140,000 house out there. And if you talk to builders, if you talk to developers, because of the red tape that they have on the front end, they have to invest so much money before they can even break ground on a project that they have to build at least X number of square feet to have their margins to
Right.
be able to make money making it, right?
Right. Right.
And we had the cost of lumber a few years back that went way up, and right now there's tariff things that are pushing the cost of housing up, the cost of building up, and so they literally can't build at an affordable level.
Right.
What we are seeing more and more of are developers building townhomes, and I can
Mhm.
see in the future maybe that townhomes is that first home,
Mhm.
that a single family residence isn't an attainable, starter
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we thought starter home is a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom ranch, right?
Absolutely.
And we're blessed that that was
That
our
was
starter
right.
homes. But I think for like even my son, who's coming up, his first home will likely be a condo
Right.
or a townhome. And then, making it, your second home, like you've made it whenever you can buy,
Right.
have a front and backyard. But we might have to do that to get to an affordable level, right? Just
Right.
because inflation has been outpacing our growth. But, as you've seen, things can change a lot just in one decade. A decade from
Absolutely.
now, maybe I'm completely wrong on all of that. But I think there's things holding people back. I think it's culturally, I think financially, there's stuff out there in the market. Housing costs obviously have become a huge issue. But I still think it's, remains a goal of most people is to own,
Yeah.
is to have that ownership.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, I'm seeing that as well. A lot of people, they're just getting to that breaking point financially, where they're not necessarily just check the check, even though the majority are. So they're just starting to, fix credit now, and they're just going back to start saving. And so now they're older. And for someone like myself, I went into an amazing field after high school, but not a lucrative one at all.
Right.
I went into social service, mental behavioral health, right? So, you're helping the public in the community. You don't make a lot of money. My average salary was probably 40, 45, you know, and the cost of living, we know. And I'm here in Atlanta. So, of course, that just kept going and going.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I definitely see the change, just in my peers that are looking to purchase now. And I think I'm going to be a buyer's agent for a while, even though I'm about to list one soon.
Well, I
Um,
can tell you, like, because you went into that social field,
yeah,
you obviously need to have that fulfillment out of your
yes,
career, out of whatever you're doing.
yes,
And being a buyer's agent will definitely do that. I don't know if you know this about me. Whenever I graduated from Georgia Southern with a finance degree, I was a wealth advisor immediately out of college, and I was miserable. I was making $200 dials by phone a day to talk to people to try to get them to bring money in house. I had my Series 7 and my 66, and I was selling annuities, but all I was doing was selling. I was putting on
yes,
a suit with a tie and going to work every day, looking sharp, but feeling empty inside because I
yeah,
didn't feel that I was helping anybody. And luckily, my older brother saw that in me, and he's like, Jared, you've always been a teddy bear. He's like, you're unfulfilled by
yeah,
this. He goes, take the college degree away, right? What do you want to do? And that was a tough question for me. And it was something
right,
that I had to go home and pray about and think
yeah,
about. And I came back to him a couple of days later. I was like, I've always wanted to be a firefighter. He's like, go do it. I
yeah,
said, go. He's like, you get to live once. He goes, and at that point in time, I was married, but I didn't have any kids. He was like, go be a firefighter. So I did. I went and I was a firefighter for 8 years, and it fulfilled me.
yes,
It scratched that itch to help people. There was something about meeting people on their worst day, right? And making
mm-hmm,
that day better in some
yep,
way that just fulfilled me. And then unfortunately, it doesn't pay. Right. I was
right.
making $42,000 a
That's what
year.
I mean.
Um, and I was rolling nickels to buy diapers because I'd
Yes,
already rolled all the quarters in the house and spent them. I'd already rolled all the dimes in the house and spent them, and I was down to nickels. And I'm like, oh, I'm not doing my son any justice. I have this college degree. I'm doing something that fulfills me, that I love, that I want to do, but I don't feel like I'm doing him the justice that he
right,
deserves. And I got lucky and fell into mortgages. And, it uses my math brain, it uses my financial skills, but also in a way that I do feel fulfilled. I do get to help people achieve a goal. I do get to teach something. Right. And I get to make a positive impact. It's not their worst day,
right.
obviously, when buying a house, but it
But
is
it's
the
one of the
biggest
biggest.
decision that they've made up until that point in their life until they make
Right,
it again, when they sell and buy another one, right?
right.
And so, yeah, I've been there, and it's what I get out of this
Yeah,
job,
yeah,
the fulfillment side of it,
absolutely,
and a lot
absolutely.
better pay.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at. Even though I'm starting a little bit later, I feel like I've given a lot.
Right.
And now it's time to give, because I really saw in doing the financial literacy that how many people, even myself, how much I didn't know, how much I didn't understand. And
Hmm.
so to go back to your point, as far as the age changing potentially, um, going back down a little younger, I think it is our job to get it that way. To for as an example, your son. So I'm sure he's aware of certain things because of the things that you taught him, right? And so teaching that next generation, and so that's what I'm really getting into more now, is the financial literacy again, getting those things connected, explaining those things. And then I think we can bring that first time home buyers age back down to, so they can get it paid off if they choose to stay in that same house. Of
Yeah.
course, it's good to invest, but
And it is, like I said, and this takes cultural changes, right? Like you
mhm,
said, a father to a son
yeah,
teaching these
yeah,
things. When we were coming up, it was about the bling bling, right? Like money got
yeah,
spent
yeah,
on material goods.
yeah,
And any extra money we ever had got spent on material goods. So it is laying the foundation with your family members, friends, that you don't need the $80,000 vehicle. You
yeah,
don't. You don't need
right,
$1,000 car payment. Um, you live within your means. It trips me out when people, I see people and they're struggling with money, but they got the brand new iPhone, or they got the
right,
brand new this, or the brand new
yes,
that. It's like
yeah,
if you'd sacrifice a few things, a few
yeah,
luxuries that you
yeah,
feel that you have to keep up or to be relevant or be seen,
right,
right? It's you could then obtain,
yeah,
right? It's like Kanye's self-conscious, right?
right.
Like just
Just,
back
yeah,
off. We all self-conscious. If we could just back off just a bit.
right. And what is crazy is I left and came up here to go to school for accounting
Hmm.
because I loved math. I loved algebra. I loved all those things. And then I had to stop school to stay here. So that kind of got pushed to the back burner. And then I finished my degree in psychology because that's the experience and things that I was kind of working in that at the time. But it's just funny, I didn't even, didn't realize. And so now I'm getting back into, like you said, the financial world, understanding, using that part of my brain. So that's always a benefit. Um, so you just kind of told me about how you got into the career. Um, so if somebody who is considering going into finance, into lending, what would you suggest?
Yeah. If you're going to get into lending, expect it to be a slow climb. It is difficult. I'm not going to lie.
Mhm.
The first year or two, you're not going to see a ton of success.
Right.
No matter how good you are, no matter how skilled you are, because it takes establishing relationships. Everything that we do in lending is relationship driven.
Yes.
And it's gaining trust. And that isn't built overnight.
Yes.
Where you're getting your referral sources from, typically, so I'm 80% realtor driven referrals, 20% past client, and some that come through social media or find me on Google, right?
Right.
But most of my leads come to me from realtors that I've worked with in the past, that know that I'm good at my job, that trust me to get the job done. One of the things that I was known for really early on was my willingness to hold hands with buyers, to fully explain things, to talk people through things, to take somebody who's unqualified and not just say, sorry, you
Yeah.
didn't get the loan, but to then help them become a buyer. And that was one of, I was blessed in that, there was a duality in my childhood. I didn't come for money. Right. But my grandparents were connected politically. So I was raised around people with money.
Right.
I was athletically gifted in soccer, so I played soccer with the Country Day Boys,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so I was connected to that world. But also, I've slept in closets in Midtown before,
Yeah.
right? My mom lived on Tibet in an apartment, and so. And then with the schools, I mean, back then, it feels like the schools were a mix, like a
Yeah.
good mix.
Right.
And
Right.
so you learn empathy. You learn how to empathize with people's positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm blessed in that I don't really see anybody as better than me, and I know I'm not better than anybody else. I can find a connection with anybody I talk to, and I can find a level in which we agree, right,
Mhm.
on things. And so that's always kind of been my angle in mortgages is it doesn't matter whether it's a $3 million purchase or whether it's a, $150,000 purchase. They both mean the same to me.
Right.
Right. And I'm going
Right.
to approach them the same way. And I'm going to approach the buyers the same way. They're both going to get the same level of respect. I tell everybody when I'm on the phone with them, I'm like, I'm going to talk to you as if you're family because that's the only way I know how to approach people.
Okay.
Right. And so I'm going to treat you like family. And then by the end of this, you're going to absolutely love me. And you're going to tell all your friends and family how awesome Jarad Brown is at what he does. And then they're going to come to me. Because the truth is, I'm never going to retire off of one deal, no matter how big the deal is. I'm never going to get to retire off of that. Most of the time, I don't even make enough off of one deal to go to Disney World.
Right.
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 But if I can treat everybody great, and then they all tell more people, and then they all tell more people, eventually one day I'll get to retire, maybe.
But the good thing about it is that because you enjoy what you're doing, you're
Mm.
not stressed about reaching retirement.
No, no, my retirement looks like me still doing this, but remotely on a boat somewhere, not in these four
In the
walls.
office.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't know that I'll ever have to give this up. It's not really like physically, you
Yeah.
know,
Taxing.
taxing on me in any way. I could probably do this as long as I get fulfillment out of it. I just
Yeah.
want to need it less eventually, I guess. That's
Yeah.
what retirement looks like for me, needing it
Hmm.
less.
And that's kind of where I am in trying to do things that align with who I am. And so I
Absolutely.
appreciate you giving some of that insight to, the things that you've learned. Empathy. That's a skill and that's something that you can't teach someone. Like you have to have grown in that. You have to have seen other people and seen other experiences and lived your own as well.
And it's living your authentic self, right? And that's one of the things that being a firefighter instilled in me. I was never not a firefighter. I worked 24/48s, right? Which means you're working 24 on, then 48 off, which is 10 days a month at work. But I was a firefighter 365 days out of the year, right? And so as a lender or as a realtor, you're never off work, right? I don't work a 9 to 5. I'm never off because I'm always a lender. I'm
Yeah.
always available to my clients. I'm always talking to them. If anybody has any questions for me, everybody gets my cell phone number, call or text Jarad, right? I make sure that everybody saves me in their phone. And that's one thing some of us older millennials don't do great, but I've always done well
Yeah.
is every conversation, and this is kind of like a business freebie here. Every time I have a conversation with somebody, I tell them in the conversation, save me in your phone, save me as Jarad, save me as Jarad the lender, right? Because I'm 6'2", brunette, brown eyes, right? I'm easily forgettable, very vanilla face here, right? And my name is Jarad, which sounds like Jerry or Gary,
Right.
right? Or anything else, right? And so I want to make sure that in that conversation, when we get off the phone, save me as Jarad or Jarad the lender or Jarad the best lender in America.
Right.
Because even if they can't remember my name, they're going to remember he's a lender and they'll type in
Yep.
lender,
Yep.
right? And
Absolutely.
nobody can refer you business if you're not in their phone, right?
Right.
Because 7 months down the line, they have had no issues with their mortgage. They had a great experience with me, loved me, even gave me 5 stars on Google, right? Like they absolutely love me. But they're at work and they're like, "Oh, who'd you use for your mortgage? Oh, what's his name? Oh my God, I can see him right now in
Right.
my head. It was like Gerald or something. He was really good. You should call him, right? That
Right.
person's never going to find me, right? But if I'm in their phone and they can be like, "Oh yeah, here, I'll text you his number,"
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
And so getting in somebody's phone is half the battle. And there's
Mm.
so many cool technologies with the little cards that you just tap on top of their
Yep.
phone or the phone to phone. But at least at the minimum, at the end of any good conversation you have with somebody, text them. Thank you for the conversation. It was lovely speaking with you today. Here's my contact. Apple makes it real easy. Share, right?
Yep.
But even on an Android, just send it,
Yes.
right? And have a
Yes.
clean contact card. Have the information that you want them to have in there and have it save you as you want to. So for you, April, it would be, April and then realtor
Yep.
or realtor, best realtor in the A, right?
Yes.
Whatever you
Right.
want.
Right.
Make sure that you're getting in their phone in that manner. And then on the backside of that is follow up. I have a CRM that automatically texts everybody in my database happy birthday on their birthday. And
Hmm.
it automatically texts everybody in my phone happy loan anniversary on their loan anniversary, right?
Mhm.
That way I'm staying in there, right?
Yes.
And early on, for early on LO, your database isn't that big. Mine is thousands now, but
Yeah.
back in the day, I used to call them. I'd have my spreadsheet in front of me and I'd call them and I'd see, and I was calling them to wish them happy birthday. But what I was really calling for was to see how do they answer the phone? Because
Mhm.
if they're like, hello, I'd be like, hey, this is Jarad Brown. Just calling to wish you a happy birthday. I did your mortgage 6 months ago. I see that today's your birthday. Just wanted to call and wish you a happy birthday. And they'd be like, oh, thanks, Jared. Yeah, yeah. Okay, when we get off the phone today, make sure you save my number in your phone. And I hope you have a great day, right? Less than
Right.
20 seconds. And then I text them my contact again because the way they answered the phone, I could tell I wasn't in their phone. But
Right.
if they
Right.
answered the phone, hey, Jared, cool.
Then you
And
already
then
know.
that one's like, hey, just calling to wish you a happy birthday. I hope you have an amazing day. Remember, my job didn't end at the closing table. If there's ever anything you need from me, be sure to call or text me, okay? And they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. A 15-second call, right? But now I know that I'm in their phone,
Yep.
right? And so it's staying in the phone, it's staying reachable so that they can send you business,
Yes.
which is something that will set you apart from your competition. Most people don't have those relationships. Most people don't follow through with the little things that then add to more business. And it's free stuff, right? That's
Right.
not advertising in a magazine. That's not being on a billboard. Those conversations, even if I were to do them today with my database as it is now, it would take me at 45 minutes in the
Mhm.
morning to make those calls,
Right.
right? Obviously, I do it through text now because it's a whole lot, but I respond to those text messages. I hit the little share button. If they respond with like, thank you, I'm like, and then it comes up share contact. It means I'm not in their phone. And I hit
Right.
it, hit it and send it. So just those sorts of things really help early on when building. But to
Right.
somebody who's new in it, just don't get frustrated. Set small goals that you can reach.
Mhm.
My brother gave me the best advice ever because I was struggling, and he's like, "Oh, how much do you make, Jared? How much do you make on a deal when you close it?" I'm like, "Let's say it's roughly 1% of loan amount." He's like, "Okay, so if you close $1 million in loans in a month, you get $10,000." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, whenever you hit the million for the first time, blow 1,000 on yourself, 1/10 of it on yourself. Make it fully selfish, not on the kids, not on your wife. Blow it on you, right?" And I did that, and it made me hungry to hit my next goal, which was 2 million. And at 2 million, I blew 2 grand on myself.
Right.
At 3 million, I blew 3 grand on myself. I made 30,000, blew 3 grand on myself. I've done that every time I've hit a new milestone.
Mhm.
And each one, then I can only do that once, right? So it makes me want to hit the next one. It makes me want to get up to that next level because I know I'm working towards, blowing 10 G's on myself.
Right.
And it doesn't even have to be like in a healthy way. Make it
Yeah.
an unhealthy way, but
However you
in
want.
a way that, yeah, makes you, yeah, it could be give 10,000 to charity when you hit, 10
Yeah.
million. Yeah, it could be.
Could be.
Wouldn't be me doing
Right.
it. For me, it'd be a
Might give
trip.
something, but
It
not the
would be
whole
a
thing.
beach somewhere. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
No, it's going to be a beach somewhere for me. But you know what I'm saying.
Yes,
Reward yourself.
definitely.
Set goals. When you hit them, reward yourself for them, whatever that looks like.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm taking in all of these things, trust me. Um,
Yeah, whenever you hit that first, whatever your major goal is, whenever you hit it, April, I want you to blow it on yourself
yes,
selfishly. Make it be that thing that you want,
yes,
right? And that also makes you more disciplined to not buy those things or spend that money on those things until
right,
you
right.
earned it, right? It's the same healthy mentality. I'll get that when I get there,
Yes,
right? But buying it ahead of time and you ain't there, then you've ruined it for yourself. So it
right.
also helps you stay disciplined.
Yes, yes. Let me just ask you this. If you could change one thing about the home buying process, what would it be?
Mm, God.
You like one? No, I'm just kidding.
Honestly, well, no, it's hard to say. What I wish there was more of is education on the front end.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish there was a way for everybody to be equally educated on what's available and what it takes to obtain it as early as possible. I love the financial literacy stuff that you're doing. I love seeing it. I think it needs to be emphasized across all majors in college. I think there should be a core
Mhm.
class in college on finance, basic finance.
Right.
Um, and even into schools, it's hard to say in schools. Um, because kids don't have money. So
Right.
it's like play pretend,
Right.
and it's hard to really take it seriously.
Yeah.
But knowing, and so that side of it, the front end education on financial literacy, I wish we could see more of that.
Yes.
And then, it's hard to say. You want everybody to obtain home ownership, right? Obviously, the more loans I close, the more deals I close, the more money I make, right? So there's a self thing. So you want to see it be more attainable, but you also don't want to go so far as to where we have a 2008 again, to where
Yeah.
there's no rails, there's
Right.
no
Right.
guardrails on this thing, and stated income, stated assets. We don't want to see that come back, right? And so, as far as the lending process, my fear is AI is making things a lot easier for us. I do
Mhm.
so much less per loan than I used to. Um, and LO comp is changing and will continue to change, will continue to go down as AI does more and more, which then we have to do more and more volume. What I hope we never lose is the education that we're able to give throughout the loan process,
Right.
right? Most loans take, from the time the person gets pre-approved to the time they close is typically about 45 days. 2 weeks of shopping, 30 days on the loan, right?
Yeah.
During that 45 days, the buyer gets a loan estimate. That those 2 pages, I'm able from those 2 pages to teach them 99% of what they're going to need to know, right? And that conversation is typically an hour long, where we go over it line by line, and I make sure they fully understand every aspect of what they're doing, why they're doing it, and what to expect going forward. That is so invaluable, and you'll never get that out of Rocket Mortgage,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so, as we have a race to the bottom, a race to the most affordable, and automation is playing a large role because of economies of scale in making interest rates cheaper and making the loan process cheaper, I hope that we don't lose out on the value of the education that you get from actually going through a human,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Right.
sure you hear on the real estate side, buyers will say all the time, "Oh, I found my own house on Zillow. I don't even
Oh
know I
yeah.
need a realtor. I found my own house." That's not what a realtor does. The realtor's not there to find you a house. Yes, we all
Right.
know you can go on Zillow and find a house. Do
Right.
you understand what an amendment to address concerns is? And how
Right.
to properly do that within the time frame that you need to do that to where you can renegotiate your contract? Huh?
Right.
Oh,
Right.
you don't understand
You
anything
don't.
I just said, do you? But guess who does? April understands that. April understands what due diligence is, the importance
Yep.
of finance contingency, the importance of appraisal contingency,
Hmm.
right? She
Right.
she knows when not to go after the house that looks perfect, but it has all of these issues and does not fit the
Hmm.
loan program that you're looking to get, right? And so, as things become more automated, I hope that we don't lose the human connection, the importance of the human connection in the transaction. I tell buyers all the time, I'm like, I'm holding your right hand, your realtor's holding your left hand, and we're walking down this road together. All three of us are in this transaction. You're not alone. Right.
That's right.
And I hope we can keep that going forward, because I think there is value to the buyer in that ultimately. Because if not, then you have a whole bunch of buyers who are entering into contracts that do
They
not
don't
well suit
understand.
them, and then
Yeah.
they end up in a home that they don't really know what an escrow account is or how it works,
Right.
or that there's going to be escrow adjustments year to year, or to go file that homestead exemption with Stephen's Day bill or whatever, right? So that's what I hope doesn't change. And so
Right.
you asked me what I would change, I would say the education stuff. That's the stuff I hope never changes.
Okay. Makes sense. What are some of the myths right now around buying a home and lending?
Same that it's always been. There's two, and it all deals with capital, right? Because that's
Yeah.
everybody's biggest struggle is capital. So the biggest myth that's always been around is that you need 20% down. You don't, right? You can get into most homes. I mean, FHA is 3.5% down. Obviously, if you're VA eligible, that's 100% financing. And then there's down payment assistance programs offered by the state, probably offered by your city, offered by other banks, offered by everything for down payment assistance. What I wish more people understood is that most down payment assistance programs, it's not grant money. It's not free
Okay.
money, right? It's a silent second, or there's something else there, right?
Right.
So understanding, I have people come to me all the time that have the money and to make their own down payment. And they're like, I want down payment assistance. I'm like, I'm not sure that's the best financial decision for you, because you're going to be going into this house, you're going to be upside down on it, and it's new construction, and the builder's still building out that neighborhood. Right. And
Hmm.
so if you go to sell this house in 2 or 3 years because you had another child or you got a great job offer elsewhere and you don't want to be a landlord, so you go to sell, your competition is going to be that builder that you're going up against. Right. And you're going to have to pay a realtor at least 5% to list your home, but you're upside down on it because you took down payment assistance. So
Right.
now that money that you didn't bring to the table at closing, right, you're going to have to put it in just to get your house sold
Hmm.
and some. So understanding the loan programs, and the best thing to do for that, whether you're calling Jarad Brown or calling another lender, is just get on an application. Let
Yeah.
the lender walk through what's available to you and fully explain everything that's available to you. So that's a huge misconception, is that you need 20%. You don't. And that down payment assistance loans, first time homebuyer programs are free money, right?
Right.
They're not.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's just, I don't know. And it's tough for me because I'm on this side of the screen, right? But the willingness to put on the application. We're like physicians. If we're doing telehealth, I can't diagnose you without seeing you,
Yeah.
right? I can't diagnose you over a telephone call, right? I need to see the
What's going on
finances.
and everything.
So
Yeah.
let's get on the application, whatever it is, we can work through it, right? But you don't start until you start the application. Don't go out there and find a home that you love. Don't find the perfect home 2 doors down from your grandma that
Right.
just hit the market and now you're trying to get your ducks in a row because that's the house for you, right?
Yeah.
Have all your ducks in a row. Even if your plan isn't to buy for another 2 or 3 years, right now is the time to get on the application. That way
Yeah.
you can properly plan over the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
It's not wasting a lender's time for you to put on an application, have them do a soft pull on your credit, take a look at everything and be like, this is where you currently stand. And if you want to achieve this goal, this is what we should do. So getting that, you can never be, it's too early for me to apply. This isn't
Hmm.
a credit card, right? This isn't a car loan.
Right.
Like, it's never too early to start planning to buy a house, no matter
Yeah.
what position you're in. And you're never so unqualified that I don't want to take a nap. I'll
Right.
always look at your situation, tell you what you've been doing great, tell you what you need to improve upon, and work with you to get there. Because it's hard to go when you don't have a map,
Yeah.
right? We all use GPS for everything now. Try getting somewhere without your GPS. We used to be able to do it. I don't even know
Yeah.
how we used to be able to do it. I would just
So
show
either.
up. I would just show up in Atlanta somewhere where I'm supposed to be without a map, without even MapQuest. Like,
Right.
I must have been a smarter human being at that point in time, because I can't do it without GPS now, right? And most
Nope.
people can't buy a house or get qualified without a roadmap, without knowing, having somebody to direct them on where to go. It's just as fruitless as trying to, get to Atlanta without GPS.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're going to
Even
hit
around the
just as
corner
much
at this
roadblocks
point.
and just as much traffic, you know?
Yes. So you pretty much answered a lot of the main questions related to finance and home
That's what
ownership.
I do.
I
I didn't
know.
want this to be an
Perfect.
interview. I didn't want this to be back and forth, right?
Right. Right. Right.
I read through it, so I kind of
Yeah.
wanted it to be that way.
Absolutely. So I guess we have a few more minutes, couple more minutes. I just want to touch base with you back on a personal level as far as, being a dad and what you're
Mm.
teaching them that maybe you didn't know and what you're giving them that, you feel like is most beneficial for them.
And it's really hard to say, right? I was raised by two wonderful people. My grandparents were absolutely awesome. If I could be half the parents that they were, I think I'd be doing a great job. I think the biggest thing for my kids, because I have been blessed that they're economically growing up with things that I didn't. I'm
Right.
able to provide them with things that maybe I didn't have growing up.
Hmm.
And so for me, it's keeping them grounded. I do believe that the dichotomy of my childhood, and, I didn't grow up in a monochrome background. And I think that has served me well. I think that would serve them well. And so just making sure that they are safely exposed to any and everything that they need to be exposed to in life to be well-rounded people. And then beyond that is just try not to hover.
Yeah.
Having faith in them that they're better than I was, that they're not going to be idiots. So with my son, it's, if he wants to go riding his bike at night, knowing that he's not going to go throw rocks at a stop sign, right?
Right.
Or maybe he will, and just giving him the freedom to make those mistakes. I don't know.
Right.
That's one of the things I try to focus on, is being there for them, but not doing it for them.
Definitely.
Because everything in my body wants to do it for them, right? But nothing good comes of me making my son's bed.
Right.
Or he goes to a military school ironing his clothes. I caught myself doing it. I did it twice, and then I'd walk into his room and they'd be wadded up on the ground after wearing them rather than hung up on a hanger and put away. I'm like, I ain't ironing again. I ironed them yesterday. I ain't even washing those. You
Right.
wore them one day. You can either hang them up or you can iron them. So I taught him how to iron, and I ain't touching it again, right?
Right.
Because it's something he needs to do. Either have the responsibility to, when taking them off when you get home, hang them back up, or know that the consequence of that is going to be you ironing them at 6 o'clock in the morning when you really don't want to, or going to
Right.
school with wrinkles in his pants and getting a demerit, right? But no good comes of me doing it for them. And I feel like because we want to give our kids better lives than we have, I think sometimes we make it too easy on them.
Hmm.
And grandma didn't raise me that way. Grandma would make me do it. I had chores. Mine was always the bathroom, and it was the smallest room, I think is why, like, at first I picked it, but it's the grossest room. But cleaning the bathroom, I had the green Comet and the
Yeah.
toilet brush, and dusting everything, getting it, cleaning it, like making sure that, like, if my son needs $5, cool. I need work,
Yeah.
you
Makes
know?
sense.
Even if I
Makes
got to
sense.
do it, even if I have to do it over again because he did it wrong, come behind him and do it over again. There's no such thing as free money. You work.
Yeah. Definitely. I
Unless you're my
am
daughter and then you get everything for free.
right. The girls do. They just do.
Yeah,
That's
she gets it all. Daddy can't say
true.
no to her.
Absolutely. Well, Jarad, I appreciate you giving me your time and speaking with me.
Oh God,
Um,
I've loved it, April. And next time you're in
yes,
Savannah, you gotta look me up. We
I
gotta go to
will. I will.
lunch.
Definitely. So, for anyone who's looking for a lender, whether in Savannah or wherever else you would be able to help them, please share your information.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm licensed in South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, so I can help in any of those states. But even in others, even if I can't do your mortgage, if you have questions, the answer is always call or text Jared. My cell phone number is 912-604-8848, and I'll see if I can't have her like throw that up at the bottom of the screen or something fancy like that.
Yes, yes.
But I'm serious. Call me. Tell me that you saw this video. Say, hey, Jared, I have these questions. Likely, I'm going to tell you to put on an application. I'm going to
Awesome.
tell you to go to brownhomemortgage.com and put on an application. It'll take you 5 minutes, and you can't mess it up because the info only comes to me. And then I can have a real conversation with you. At that point, I have seen where you're at, and I can actually give advice. But even if you don't want to go that far, you just have, a question, call me, text me. You're never wasting my time.
Awesome. I thank you so much for
I
this. I
thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
No, this was
Um,
fun. Let's
yes,
do
it
this like
was.
once a month. Have
Yes,
me on.
yes,
Send me
definitely.
26 more questions. We'll get it
Yes,
done.
that sounds perfect. I thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
thank you,
April. I'll
thank
talk
you.
to you soon.
Yes, I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.
Bye.